All right, and we're live, correct, Jeremiah?
Yes.
Looks like Great. Welcome everybody to this Sunday session. We have Mr. Nabil Fares here and Miss Azadeh Mohandesi Fares here, and we're so happy to be having these two remarkable individuals who have already appeared on our program, and we recommend all of you to watch that program as well. We are here to talk about a very special topic, and that is the most holy book, the Kitab-i-Aqdas. Baha'u'llah's Book of Laws, written in Arabic around 1873, while he was still imprisoned within the city of Akká, modern-day Israel, then Palestine of the Ottoman Empire. It was supplemented by later writings and by Baha'u'llah's replies to a series of questions posed by one of his secretaries. The first authorized English translation was published in 1992, annotated and accompanied by the supplementary writings and the questions and answers. We have on our Clearwater Baha'is website here the link to click on to visit the Aqdas, to read it. We welcome all of you to crack open that book and read it. It is very, very, very important. Now, again, it's called the most holy book for a reason. We're going to introduce our two speakers. Nabil Fares works as an executive consultant supporting the private and public sectors, including the federal, state, and local governments in technology management. Nabil published various technical articles and taught university-level classes in executive leadership, technology management, advanced databases design and management, cloud computing strategies and implementation, among other domains. Nabil and his beloved wife Azadeh authored and published several papers related to the Baha'i faith. Various studies and papers as related to the faith in comparative religions, with a focus on Islam and Islamic domains, Irfan Colloquium contributors. They've contributed in many various facets of learning, including at the Baha'i schools. And they've spoken on topics, as we've just explained, we're going to talk today about the Aqdas. They've provided notes and study sessions for Gems of Divine Mysteries, likewise for the Kitab-i-Aqdas, and so much more. There's Evident Divine Justice, there is the Will and Testament of Baha'u'llah, the Kitab-i-Ad, there's the Will and Testament of Abdul Baha, the Tablet of Ahmad, and there's a study guide as well they developed for the Ministry of the Bab. You can find all of this in their bio, as you'll find when you visit www.clearwaterbaha'is.org, and you either visit this week for the session or you search on the website, you will find their bio still on the website as well, as we have with all of our speakers. And the same goes with Miss Azadeh Mohandesi Fares. She works as an executive consultant supporting the private and public sectors, including federal, state, and local governments in technology management. In her public sector career, Azadeh managed the implementation of major federal programs for the state of California. Azadeh, with her husband Nabil, have authored and published several papers related to the Baha'i faith. We've mentioned a few of them, but to add, in all of these sessions that they've done together, they've created not just commentary, but notes that you can review. And they also have study sessions available for you to be able to learn. And these sessions, one of them we're doing today together here for Clearwater Baha'is. And we're so grateful to have them here. Without much further ado, we want to welcome both of you. Thank you for joining us on this very early morning for you. It's 8 a.m. over in California, right? Yeah, the sun just rose up over there. How is it going?
Well, as I shared with you, John, it's going to be 112 today.
112 degrees.
Yes.
I can't imagine. Is it feels like 112 or is it actually 112?
It feels like 125.
Oh no.
Yeah, it's really tough here, but all is good. All is good. So, John, thank you very much for the introduction. It's really very kind of you and to introduce us in this way. And I thank you again for the invitation. And we are going to talk this Sunday and the next 2 Sundays about the Kitab-i-Aqdas, as you pointed out, the most holy book. And I just wanted to know, before I turn it over to Azadeh, what do we know about the Kitab-i-Aqdas? And this is open for everyone. This is going to be very interactive sessions. So what do we know about the Kitab-i-Aqdas?
So I can pitch in. It's the mother book of the Baha'i revelation.
Okay. Well, what does this mean, John?
That is a great question, actually. So the idea of a mother book. So for Christianity, we all identify with the Bible as the mother book of Christianity, but then also the Jews identify with it. But we would say the Pentateuch would be the mother book of the Jewish dispensation, perhaps. But for the Baha'is, the main book, the Book of Law, is the one that we all turn to. Everything is subordinate to it, is the Kitab-i-Aqdas.
Okay.
The book of laws is described as choice sealed wine, which is a very different description of law.
So this Hackness is your first name or the
Last name,
what's your first name, please?
John.
John, this is a very important point that you raise. We don't lose track of it, and I will draw upon this comment in a few minutes. So stay with me. What else? Thank you, John. What do we know about Kitab-i-Aqdas? Okay, do I call upon you? Rose, I need some help. Beth, I need some help. Kathleen, I need some help.
The Book of Laws is, I don't know the name of but the Book of Laws is where Baha'u'lláh actually started with a bayan, and
Okay.
he took some of the ideas out of the bayan and made it a little bit more easier for people to understand, I think. But because the bayan isn't written in English, it's really hard to understand because you don't have to know Arabic or Persian. But I'm pretty sure that Baha'u'lláh took some of those laws out of the bayan and made this most holy book.
Okay, that's very true. And I'm going to draw on this note also. So from John and from Rose. What else? Other thoughts?
Indictments against drinking and drugs, which is a major problem in this culture. And I actually did have something called the Kortikama because there were 2 Baha'is here that want to establish a coffee house, the alternative to the bar scene. So Abdul Baha, I think, used to pray for something like 3 hours to engender susceptibility to higher intelligence. But why do you lose that intelligence? By consuming things that steal your intelligence. And when I joined the Baha'i faith, it hadn't been completely revealed, but it was known at that time that Baha'is weren't supposed to drink. You know, drink beer or any. Has the Universal Justice come out and said that we're not supposed to be in the bars anymore?
Thank you, Ralph.
I could.
Andy, yes, please.
All right.
responding to what you just said about the bar, I could tell you a lot about that, because prior to that, I used to make my living as a musician playing in such things, in such establishments. But the Kitab-i-Aqdas, its implementation is governed by the Universal House of Justice. Not all of the laws are applicable to all believers everywhere, except when the Universal House of Justice tells us that they are.
Thank you, Andy. Riaz, I need some help here.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Well, I feel the primary description of Kitab-i-Aqdas should be that Baha'u'lláh, the author, is the manifestation of God, and the Kitab-i-Aqdas is one of his works within all of his works, which all combined constitute the revelation of Baha'u'lláh, meaning a revelation from God. This of course implies that this is a revelation from God to mankind, and this is the real status of this work. It's a revelation from God, and I feel this is how we should look at it. And all the entirety of Baha'u'llah's works are a revelation from God to mankind. Thank you.
Thank you, Riaz. So this is beautiful. You know, these thoughts are really, all of it, in my humble opinion, very mature thoughts. It shows really that we have a beautiful understanding and appreciation to the most holy book. I would like to put it on the screen now when we start talking about the Kitab-i-Aqdas, but I will turn it over to Azada to take us through this. So Azada, it is.
Good morning, everyone. I'm happy to be here and spend this morning with all of you friends across United States. To actually insert the tone on how we look at the Kitab-i-Aqdas, we rely on the phrase revealed by Baha'u'lláh in that book: observe my commandments for the love of my beauty. This phrase by itself sets this revelation apart from the revelations of the past, and in my unworthy opinion, really, because it takes us from, as humanity, takes us from obeying the previous holy books, either out of fear or out of greed. And the reason I've come to that conclusion is that probably due to our, again, as humanity, due to our limited and finite understanding, we have the concept of hell and heaven. So if you do this and this and this, you will go to hell. And if you do that and that and that, you will go to heaven, which heaven would actually increase, I would think, the sense of, oh, I get greedy, that I want to go to heaven, so I'm going to do all these things to have a place in heaven, and the other ones I would avoid because I'm afraid of going to hell. Here, Baha'u'lláh introduces to obey everything for the love of his beauty, and love becomes the key in everything in this revelation. And I'm sure you all have browsed and studied the writings of Abdul Baha, and in one of in the selections of the writings of Abdul Baha, there is a section translated that he explains that how love is the key to everything that we know and we don't know, including God creating us out of his love. So this is how we're going to set this tone. I hope you're all okay with that, to proceed. And this is how we look at the laws and the revelation, including that the laws of the Aqdas that is revealed by Baha'u'lláh, and we'll take it from there. And I'm open for any comments that you have on this, if you want to share with us.
I'd like to share something.
Please do.
Jesus Christ actually said in the Bible, he says, if you love me, keep my commandments. So this is something that Baha'u'lláh, of course, has said it in his own way.
Absolutely, absolutely. And this takes us, I don't know exactly where in the history of Christianity, I know a little bit more about Islam, where the concept of hell and heaven came in. To do, I don't know if it was through the church and the leaders of the church, whether Catholic or Protestant, but the concept became a guiding rod, so to speak, or a guiding light, if you want to call it that. But thank you for that, reminding me of that. Thank you so much. From Christ, of course.
I think also this is the discussion that we took in the previous presentation about the religion, wars and things like that. We spoke enough about how the understanding of the individual shifted from the core, the pure understanding of the holy books to their own understanding by adding few things and interpretation. So this is part of it. But the point is, for 5,000 years, we were motivated by greed, because I want to go to heaven. I want to enjoy all this food. I want to enjoy all this life. I want to enjoy the mansions that I'm going to pick, and live in, or out of fear, because I don't want to go to a place in which my skin will burn. And please remember that this is local images to earth, not to heaven. What I mean by this, having 112 degrees, and actually at the end of this week in Sacramento will be 117, I really don't want this heat. I rather be in Southern California or in Florida or somewhere which is more tolerant, because I'm scared from the heat. It's too much. So we are going to talk, as we start talking more in the Aqdas, about the locality of the revelation and the universality of the application. So we are going to talk again about this. So, Azada, thank you very much. So this is what we are going to cover. Over the next 3 weeks, including today, we are going to talk overview about the topics in the Kitab-i-Aqdas, and then we will start talking about the Aqdas. So as we are going to cover today very quickly about justice, government, law, liberty, belief, learning, family, the advancement of civilization, and what does it mean, Kitab-i-Aqdas, for the Baha'i community. And then we will start studying the most holy book. So, Azada, is justice yours or mine? Azada, did I lose you?
It's all yours. No, I was on mute.
Okay. It says in the note Azada, but I will take it. So justice, what do we know about justice? And I will get off the PowerPoint. What do we know about justice in the faith? What is justice in the faith?
It's the number one consideration for how society needs to run and must be placed ahead of mercy.
Okay,
It's the best beloved of all things.
John, thank you. Thank you. Thoughts? Lisa from England, do you have some thoughts to share with us? Nusrat.
Yes, I do.
Yes,
Thank you.
please go.
And forgive me if I misspelled England. It's an overarching, most equitable grace to consider justice for all peoples and creatures of the earth. It doesn't necessarily come into play in punishment or there's a grace that's intertwined in there, in my opinion, but justice is an overarching animated behavior that all humans deserve.
It's beautiful. Thank you, Lisa. John, you have your hands raised. I don't see you. Okay, I see you.
Well, I just wanted we just had a Zoom in Houston. Houston has many, Baha'is have many Zooms on justice. And at the end of that wonderful Zoom, there was former Continental Consular in that group, that I just came to a conclusion that prior to Baha'u'lláh, Christianity, Buddhism, the religions, Judaism, they tried. But now the difference is the Baha'i covenant, Abdul Baha, the center of the covenant, a new part of religion, and the administration and the Universal House of Justice. So if we talk about justice from the old religious standpoints, it becomes individual, and there's no really the administration to get a total idea of what this word means. But now we can. I don't know. We have lesser peace, most great peace. So we talk about many things. It's wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you. So, Barbara, you have your hand raised. Please, Ms. Kamali.
Yes, I'd say justice is one of the main things that attracted me to the Baha'i faith. On a personal note, I'm an immigration attorney representing asylum seekers, and I see so little justice that it really resonated with me, the writings on justice.
Yeah. Very well put. Thank you, Barbara. So, dear friends, thank you very much for this interaction, and we will need more and more interaction as we progress through it, because the thoughts from all of us becomes like an ecosystem which enriches all of us. So, in the Baha'i faith, Baha'u'lláh came with two main things. One of them is the laws, which are divine laws. The other thing is divine institutions. This is the first faith that it has divine institutions, not man-made institutions. And I think John just mentioned the Continental Board, he mentioned the Universal House of Justice. I think Riaz mentioned also a couple of institutions. So part of what Baha'u'lláh saying, this is the loving kindness, call it laws, call it whatever you want, until we get there. And this is the institutions, like the institution of the covenant, that is going to protect these laws and protect humanity. So let us see what Baha'u'lláh said here. He said that this is maybe somebody can read us this. Can somebody read us this three quotations, please?
Sure, I'll be happy to.
Thank you.
This is the infallible balance which the hand of God is holding, in which all who are in the heavens and all who are on the earth are weighed. The purpose of justice, Baha'u'llah's writings state, is the appearance of unity among men. The infallible balance which the hand of God is holding, in which all who are in the heavens and all who are on the earth are weighed. Through it, the poor have been enriched, the learned enlightened, and the seekers enabled to ascend unto the presence of God.
Thank you. Any thoughts, any reflections on this?
I have I should put my hand up.
No, please go ahead. This is,
Well,
okay, I'm sorry, I cannot see.
No, I just gotta have a pull. I don't want to be seen. But this, I find this is interesting. The purpose of, in the second bullet point, the
Yes.
purpose of justice is the appearance of unity among men, the appearance of unity. Now, that's interesting because I know every word has a weight. Every word from the Baha'i writings has a weight. Just like earlier, I wanted to ask about, do it for my beauty. How do we perceive the word beauty other than a physical appearance? It's something deeper and much richer, which perhaps we can hit at the end. But I kind of like your perspective, why it says it's not is the unity among men, but the appearance of unity among men.
So thank you. So here, the appearance, it means the manifestations. Okay. So here, for the unity of men to manifest itself. That's my understanding. And yes. I think there was a hand that Eileen, maybe?
I would say the appearance means the manifestation rather than the illusion of
course.
Unity.
Absolutely. It's the manifestation. I think Eileen was raising a hand, or did I make a mistake?
Yes. What I was thinking was, in my mind, I sort of define the basic principles of the Baha'i faith, and there are many, as unity and justice. The two are inseparable in my mind. And here, this second quotation says it all. You can't have unity without justice. And when there is justice, unity is promoted. So it's hand in glove.
Yeah. What's that?
If I may, just one quick observation. I think the word appearance here is more to say to appear. So for unity to appear among men, that's the way I took it. And it also tells me that so far it hasn't appeared, which we see in our lives, that in reality there isn't. So to me, that was the way this word has been used, for unity to appear among men.
Thank you.
So do you mean like a synonym to manifest, where you see actual representation of it?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, because so far it did not materialize yet. Every faith talked about justice, but many of it becomes on the revenge side versus justice side. And we talked about this for the previous session about religion strifes and the holy wars and the jihad, So now it is really becoming as reality. I want to take you to the first quotation, which says, in the heavens and all who are on the earth and are waiting. See, it's very important here to realize that these institutions and these laws, which are revealed in the Kitab-i-Aqdas for us human beings, it's inseparable from the higher reality, which is when we pass to the next level. You know what I mean? So up there, and allow me to use the term up there, you know what I mean? There is no up or down, but just a figure of speech, you know. In a higher reality, there is justice. In higher reality, there are institutions. In higher reality, which when we pass on to the next birth or rebirth, you know, a kingdom or whatever you want us to call it, you know, there is institution, there are laws, there are justice, there is love, there is mercy, there is kindness. These are not restricted to us living on earth, because now we reach a level that the portal between earth and up there, again, please allow me to use the term up there, the portal open. So now we know much more about the hereafter. We know much more about the Malakut. We know much more about the Jabarut. We know much more about all these wonderful realms. And Baha'u'lláh told us that all of this, the soul will progress. And Abdul Baha explained it to us. And Shah Effendi also shared a few things with us. But the point is that this is what's meant, that it is not just for earth, it's for the heavens and who up and down in earth and heavens. Would this make sense? Hello?
I didn't realize there was that much structure in the next world.
Yeah, well, Lisa, hold this thought.
You're freaking me out.
Hold this thought. Don't forget about it. So John has a couple of thoughts, Rose has a thought, and Lisa has a couple of thoughts. We are going to uncover and we address the thoughts as we progress through the Aqdas. So please don't forget about these, you know? So now about government. Azada, it's about government. Is mine also or yours?
It's mine.
Okay.
So would somebody would like to read the first bullet? Audience? Or read a few of them, whichever. We'll go over. Thank you. Thank you.
The precepts laid down by God constitute the highest means for the maintenance of order in the world and the security of its peoples. Should I continue?
Yes, please.
The governors of human society will be compelled to recognize that they are essentially vessels of God, answerable for the powers they exercise. The real treasures of any land are its people. Governments are warned not to deal unjustly with anyone that appealeth to you. They are called on to recognize that the poor are the trust of God in your midst. The growing burden of public taxation is declared to be wholly and grossly unjust. Should any government commit aggression, the rest are called on to rise ye all against him, for this is naught but manifest justice. Governments are not only summoned to bind the broken with the hands of justice, but also have the moral right and obligation to crush the oppressor who is responsible for such abuses with the rod of the commandments of your Lord.
Thank you, Lisa. Thank you. You know, on the role of the government, we all being living on this earth have dealt with governments, but when we read in Baha'u'llah's writings, especially the tablets to the kings and the rulers of the world, also in connection with other places, including the Aqdas, we can see the vision that would hopefully one day come to appear. And you know, one of the beauties of the Baha'i faith is everything, the whole revelation is interrelated. So when we read in the Aqdas about the government, it takes us to other pieces of the writings of Baha'u'llah, where he explains more in the tablets to the kings and the rulers, and also in some pieces of the tablets revealed after the Kitab-i-Aqdas. So this, for us, gives us a view of not only the future, but how governments should really be dealing with ruling the countries and the peoples who are in the, under their care, basically. Any comments?
Andy has his hand raised.
Oh, hi, Andy. Thank you. Please.
I have something I'd like to say about the rod.
Yeah.
This is something that appears in many different revelations. The earliest one that I'm aware of is in the Hebrew Bible, in the Jewish revelation. People often think that the purpose of the rod is to beat either an animal or a person who is refractory in some way, but that was not its purpose. The rod was a tool that was used by a shepherd. It was typically made out of wood, and the length was somewhere in the neighborhood of between 3 and 4 meters. That's about 10 to 12 feet, something like that. And what you did with your rod, if you were a shepherd, we'll say that this thing's a rod, then what you would do is, supposing your sheep were starting to wander in the mountains, and they were starting to wander off to their to your right, but if you wanted them to go to the left, what you did was you didn't take your rod and whack the sheep with it. What you did was you put the rod like this in front of you, and you stood to the left, and you blocked their path to the direction that you did not want them to go. And so this is indeed a function of I see this indeed as a function of the Baha'i laws, to block our paths to the direction that God does not want us to go.
That's beautiful, Andy. If I may also, Azada, the rod also has another dimension, but you were very articulate in this, Andy, and very eloquent. I really appreciate it. The rod also, in some interpretation of the writings put to us by Baha'u'llah, that actually the rod of Moses, when he was talking about Moses, the staff of Moses, and the rod was his eloquency in applying the teachings and talking to the Jewish rabbis, or at this time the clergy in the Jewish faith, about the majesty of his revelation. So it has earthly meaning, which, Andy, you put it in a very good way, and also it has higher reality. And the word commandments also is very associated with the Jewish faith. So it is the 10 commandments and also the rod of commandments. So Baha'u'llah is addressing many levels. Excellent. I want to go, Azada, may I?
Yes, please.
So I want to go to the second bullet. The governors of human society will be compelled to recognize that they are essentially vessels of God, answerable to the powers they exercise. Here, it is talking about, now it's becoming the state and religion very close. So there is no separation between the state and the religion in the future society. The Baha'i faith have very strong civil identity. And you see this from our national communicating with the congressmen and women, in the bills which put out to the Congress and the states. So we have very strong civil identity, not political identity, civil identity. And now in the future, as the kings and the rulers and the governors understand the majesty of the age that we live at, they become answerable really to the people that they rule over or they exercise. Would this make sense? This is for the second bullet. Are we good with this?
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, on government, now on law. So John earlier said this is not really book of law. You can see it in a different way. And I really concur, and I think all of us will concur when we get there. Because Baha'u'lláh said, he said, don't think that I got you a mere code of law. I got you a whole structure, a whole ecosystem in place. I unsealed the beauty of the divine laws for you. John, would you care to read us this 3 bullets, please, since you started this discussion?
Well, thank you. This is just my idea, and unworthy as it is, that I mentioned the covenant, and well, in fact, it's a picture of Picasso or Mona Lisa or a beautiful mosque interior in Iran. It's hard to describe because that's art. So this is the Japan was a Buddhist country. Now many countries are really secular, and like you just said, you've got the clear separation of church and state because there's so many different definitions of religion. People, a lot to say here. So what I'm saying is that that Germany and all the countries, Nigeria, they have lawyers and they have very dedicated to the law. But it is what Baha'u'lláh said, it's a code of words, and that doesn't go far enough. So this turning those laws into spiritual meaning is just very profound and very important. I know I'm dancing around and not answering it.
No, not really. No, you're right on. I asked you if all possible to read it for us. Can you read us the 3 bullets?
Read the bullet?
Yeah, would you please? Because it's follow up on your ideas.
All 3?
Or 1 or 2, whatever convenient for you.
Think not that we have revealed unto you a mere code of laws. Nay, rather, we have unsealed the choice wine with the fingers of might and power. Beware lest, through compassion, ye neglect to carry out the statutes of the religion of God, to which hath been bidden you by him who is the compassionate and merciful. The book of God is thus the quickener of mankind, the source of true felicity. When seen with the eyes of the Spirit, it is the bounty of God, considered the mercy of God and his gifts, the Akká counsels. He enjoined upon you that which shall profit you, though he himself can well dispense with all creatures.
Thank you, John. Reactions, please. Thoughts?
Yes, I have a reaction to this, if I may.
Andy, is it okay to come closer to the mic? My apology, I'm having a hard time hearing you.
How about now?
Whatever easier for you. Thank you.
All right. Well, are you able to hear me now?
Not really.
Everybody else out there, can you hear me? Or do you have a hard time?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, this may be specific to your system.
Sure, please go ahead. No problem.
All right. That second bullet. Beware lest through compassion you neglect to carry out the statutes of the religion of God. One thing that Shoghi Effendi often denounced is how individuals acted like local spiritual assemblies toward each other, and sometimes LSAs acted like individuals, showing too much mercy. And through compassion, the thing is that justice does indeed provide certain motivators, and we read that Baha'u'lláh says that the stability of the world order depends upon two pillars, which he defines as reward and punishment. And so sometimes people might be afraid to apply punishment because of their compassion, but the result would be counterproductive.
Thank you, Andy. Any thoughts about quickener of mankind in the third paragraph?
I believe it suggests the more you rely on the book, the more people will join in unity of mankind. I mean, it is the backbone of bringing about this unity of mankind.
Yes, absolutely. Well said, Lisa. This is why also we have the 5-year plan, the 4-year plan, the 1-year plan, the 9-year plans, because all of this contribute to the advancement of the Baha'is and the humanity. And this is how we quicken the mankind, by following the mandates coming to us today from our supreme governing body, the Universal House of Justice. There is also 2 lines after it, which talk about consider the mercy of God and his gifts. You know, this is very important because God's mercy encompasses everything. He doesn't lose track of justice, but also mercy comes in play. Any other thoughts about the law? We go to the next one, which is liberty. Azza, the liberty is yours.
That's right. Going from law to liberty, it's like they are the two opposite poles, like north and south. But would anyone want to read the 3 bullets that's on the screen so we can have a discussion?
I'll be happy to read it.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
We're meant to observe that which we have sent down unto them from the heaven of revelation. They would of a certainty attain unto perfect liberty. We confront again in Baha'u'llah's writings his fundamental assertion that moral insight and coherence come only as the gift of that divinity which chose to confer upon man the unique distinction and capacity to know him and to love him, a capacity that must needs be regarded as a generating impulse underlying the whole of creation. It is in this perspective that the Kitab-i-Aqdas condemns strongly attempts to invoke liberty as justification for conduct that causeth man to overstep the bounds of propriety, conduct that which debaseth him to the level of extreme depravity.
Thank you. So maybe we can have a discussion here about how Baha'u'llah sees true liberty for us, or attaining unto perfect liberty. Any ideas? What is that perfect liberty?
May I?
Yes, please.
All right.
Andy.
I see perfect liberty as a life that is within the bounds that are established by divine authority. About 50 years ago, Ruhiye Khanum lamented the fact that we have all of the wrong liberties and none of the right ones. Sadly enough, that is still the case. In other words, she lamented the fact that people could be racists, they had the liberties to be haters and to do very many other things. But if somebody wanted to champion morality, chastity, and turning to God, these people were often shunned and embarrassed. So what I read is that that the only liberty that is worthwhile is that which conforms to and is bounded by divine will.
Yeah.
Yeah. And this issue of liberty, I think, especially becomes very sensitive in our teaching work and talking to people about the faith, because at least in the society that we live in, there are certain liberties that are very important, and they are basically, for some, might be, you can't touch those liberties, you know, and versus the liberty that Baha'u'lláh envisions for us, as he puts here, we have sent down unto them from the heaven of revelation, they would of a certainty attain unto perfect liberty. So for me, that means that it would actually liberate me as an individual from all those other man-made rights and liberties, so to speak, as we were just talking. Any thoughts as you...
John raised his hand.
Hi, John. Yes, go ahead, please.
Well, I wish I had time. I would find the quote. And I think you're familiar with it. I don't want to paraphrase it. I can't remember what book it's from, where Baha'u'lláh talks about false liberty. And I don't want to it's like people believe this is liberty and this is not liberty.
Yeah.
That quote, I wish I could find it.
Yeah, we will find it.
Maybe you bring it next time. Okay, Beth. Thank you, John. Beth, you have your hand raised? Beth, are you still with us? Okay, we'll come back again to Beth. Belief. So belief is a very interesting thing, because there are many things we do out of faith, out of belief. First, maybe somebody can read us some of these. I will read the first one and somebody can pick it up. This is the changeless faith of God, eternal in the past, eternal in the future. Next one, please. Would someone read us the next one?
That the prophets and chosen ones have all been commissioned by the one true God to nurture the trees of human existence with the living waters of uprightness and understanding,
Yes.
that there may appear from them that which God hath deposited within their inmost selves. Consort with all religions with amity and concord, that they may inhale from you the sweet fragrance of God. Beware lest any name debar you from him who is the possessor of all names. Weigh not the book of God with such standards and sciences as are current amongst you, for the book itself is the unerring balance established amongst men.
Thank you. Reactions?
Actually, I think this is addressed in the middle of obligatory prayer. Strengthen my hand, O my God, to take all the book with such steadfastness. Most of the world shall have no power over it. But we've been talking here. I've ever heard of a company called Smith Corona Marchant, the last portable typewriter company in the United States. But I believe we're talking about, like, what is it now? Names. Now we're in the month of Asma, right? We're in the month of names. Abdu'l-Baha spoke about industrial justice, but you know, our day of justice corresponds with hump day in the workplace. Because I know the churches, some of them are talking about Justice Sunday, but when you're working in a workplace like John's talking about, John Hawkness, I mean, there's always been a complaint the right hand doing what the left hand is doing, and you might have people there, they may be atheists or they belong to different churches, but and maybe you might have heard of Bob Rosenfeld. He actually worked for Eastman Kodak, and some other people were working along these lines, because I'm not too far from Cornell University, and there's a woman named Linda Stetson. She worked for them. She was surprised to hear about Stetson University. But she's not a Baha'i, but she did work for them. But Cornell has both a law school and a labor relations school. And I had been a homefront pioneer in Cortland with 7 valleys in it. There was a company that made Brockway trucks, and they went out on Wildcat strike. And the last Brockways were sent to Iran because the company had a contract with the government of Iran, but there were 2 Baha'is there. But that was still the big issue. It's a company that's based on industry a lot. There are a number of churches there, but when you go to work, you can't exactly bring a religion with you. It's kind of like Baha'i consultation, I have to iron out differences.
Thank you.
Bob Rosenfeld, he worked for Eastman Kodak, and they did develop a month, it was a 13-month calendar. And there's found a lot of time. I actually sent them a copy of our calendar because they knew about the by faith, but they didn't know we had a calendar. So I think it's a couple of churches, the Unitarian Universalists and the Methodists kind of had something like their 7 principles are based on, they're actually based on justice, but they didn't have it when I was in the ministry, but they do today. So remember, Abdu'l Baha talked to both Unitarians and Universalists. And our prayer here, I think in the prayer book, was actually recited at the Unitarian Church in New York City. Remember, New York City is the city of the covenant. And I've been kind of a Lone Ranger Baha'is, trying to keep it all together here.
Thank you. So before we go far away, there is a question about the living water. And the living water is actually reference to the laws of God, especially in this dispensation. Because these laws of God in this dispensation, and I put a reference, by the way, in the chat, these laws of God in this dispensation, while the law does not changes, but with the guidance of His Holiness Abdul Baha, followed by Shawi Effendi, and now the unerring balance goes to the Universal House of Justice, the laws keeps on unfolding. The law does not change, but the law application unfolds. Hence, it becomes the living water because it's nurture everyone. Nurture everyone because it's continuous with the vitamin needed for all of us to grow. Hence, the House of Justice guide us through this process today. One other thing I wanted to mention about where we are belief. Baha'u'lláh talked to us about the first, am I sharing or I'm not sharing? Am I keeping it secret to myself?
You're not sharing.
Yes, you're not sharing.
I'm keeping it secret to myself. Sorry. Now is good?
Yes.
Baha'u'lláh said, this is the changeless faith of God, eternal in the past, eternal in the future. His Holiness is not saying this is the changeless religion of God. Eternal in the past, eternal in the future. Religion has a beginning and end. It has 1,000 years, has 300 years, 400 years, whatever God decides upon. But the faith and the love to God, it does not change in any faith. So the faith of God is what's really deeply rooted in your heart and mind. There is no religion, true religion, coming saying, hate God or hate thy neighbor or steal. The faith of God, it's what's in your heart and it doesn't change. It's built on love eternally. But again, we expanded on this in our previous session that we've done last month, and they keep referring to it, and they will continue referring to it till December when we talk about divinity, because all of them are connected together. Any other thoughts about belief? Okay. One more, learning. Azada, this is mine or yours? Oh, we haven't had Duncan, please.
Hello, sorry, I'm joining from Denmark, so I'm doing other things. It's my first time here. Lovely to see you. The vibe of it is incredible already. I've just come out of talking to our National Growth Committee in Denmark, who I'm sure would send their loving regards. The thing you just said about the faith of God, eternal, and where that is, my daughter today, who isn't a Baha'i, said something that essentially we ended up talking about her moral compass and how she thought it was the same in all these different places. And what you've just said is just unlocked, like a sort of a key in a lock as to how I can carry on that conversation with her in a loving way that doesn't force her to put herself under a certain label or box when she's young and formative, and is resistant to that, because we also live in a culture that is very happy to put people in boxes or in the same box. So I just wanted to thank you for that. I was walking in and out doing the family laundry as I'm doing it. Sorry for being disrespectful, but I'm hours ahead and have a weekend thing to do. Just thanks. And the spirit of this and the fact that it's a two-way thing and not just a presentation. I'll be back. I'll turn my camera off to not have you see me doing crazy things, but thanks.
Thank you, Duncan, for sharing. On belief, Azada, you said this is yours?
Hold on.
On learning, I mean, number 6. Stream 8.
Yes. No, actually, it's yours. 9 is mine.
Oh, I thought I would get away with it.
No. All yours.
That would not be justice.
Very good. So, would somebody like to read us 2 or 3 or 4 of them, please? Maybe all of them?
I'll read them.
Thank you.
This is the dayspring of divine knowledge. If ye be of them that understand, and the dawning place of God's commandments, if ye be of those who comprehend. Knowledge is as wings to man's life, and a ladder for his ascent. Its acquisition is incumbent upon everyone. An age has dawned, he says, in which the secrets of the earth are laid bare, and their exploration in a spirit of service to humanity is an act of worship. In consequence of the universal revelation of God, a new life is, in this age, stirring within all the peoples of the earth. The Akká says, are no mere codes of laws, but the lamps of my loving providence among my servants, and the keys of my mercy for my creatures.
Thank you very much. Reactions, please. Thoughts, ideas.
It's such a loving interpretation. The Akká, it's no mere code of laws, but the lamps of my loving providence among my servants, the light, the guiding light for my loving providence, my interpretation of my servants. It's just so beautiful. It's just so beautiful.
Thank you, Lisa. Very true. Other reactions, please.
I would like to add regarding your second bullet point of what I've experienced on Clearwater. Baha'is are revealing the secrets of the earth from their various disciplines through interpretation of the faith, and is raising the level of our existence with his holy word.
Thank you. Other thoughts?
Yes, the Akká essence of knowledge, which the individual investigation through, which does reveal the secrets of divine revelation, the secrets of the earth, the capacities of individuals.
Excellent. Thank you, Peter. Okay. It's also saying that we have, as somebody mentioned earlier, to crack the books open. I think John is the one who mentioned this. To take the revelation and open the Iqan, open the Aqdas, open the tablets of Baha'u'llah, read prayers, and enjoy the beauty of this revelation, because it's important in understanding and expanding our knowledge. I always talk about, or we always talk about progressive revelation. And I always talk about progressive understanding. As the revelation unfolds, we have to apply ourselves and take our understanding to the next level. Because if we don't, then we get stuck in -1, -2, -3. Today, as our supreme governing body, as the Universal House of Justice, put Plan 1, and I'm part of it, and then they put Plan 2, and I'm part of it. They put Plan 3, and I'm not part of it. Now I'm no longer standing still. I'm actually going backward. So I have to be catching up with the writing. I have to be catching up with the core activities. I have to be catching up with all the beauty that we are working, is coming our way. Would this make sense?
Totally.
I think some of us also will agree that learning does not stop.
Yeah.
Family, Azada, this is yours. The family is yours.
Yes, it is.
Thank you.
Yes, it is. Would somebody want to read? It's only 3 bullets.
I can read.
Please do. Thank you.
Enter into wedlock, O people, that ye may bring forth one who will make mention of me amidst my servants. God hath prescribed matrimony unto you, the Aqdas says, that ye may bring forth one who will make mention of me amidst my servants. The provisions of the Kitab-i-Aqdas relating to family must be read in the context of Baha'u'llah's general teachings. Women and men, he writes, have been and will always be equal in the sight of God.
Thank you, Serene.
Thank you. Any comments on the first 2 bullets before we move to the third one? Okay, go ahead. Go ahead, Lisa. Thank you. Lisa, we can't hear you. Go ahead.
On the first point, that ye may bring forth one who will make mention of me amid my servants. May I interpret that as children or child?
That's how I understand it also. Yes,
Okay.
please. Thank you.
Okay. That is not always possible in our mixed faith existence. So is there mercy there? Are we breaking a law? That's my first question.
Yeah. I can only give you my take on religions, and I will do a little bit of personal history. I was born to parents, the first child of a father from a long line of Baha'i families, and a mother of a long line of Islamic belief and Muslim family. But she, after a few years, I was about 2 or 3 years old when she declared her faith, and she told me the story, how it came about. I will just keep that to myself. But, you know, I hear your question. However, I think that one of the most important things we do in life, if we marry or not, we could adopt children, is raising the next generation of the lovers of Baha'u'llah. And, you know, that is no small task. And it starts from before we even know that the child is understanding what we tell them, So I don't think there's some things that are destiny. And if we don't have a child and we are not in a position to adopt a child that we would love like our own, will be our own, it's just part of the hands that we have been dealt. And there are so many other ways, I think, to fulfill our love for Baha'u'llah and serving his faith. Does that answer? Good.
Let me add a little clarity.
Yes.
I came from the Clearwater Baha'i community, and I send my love to everybody out there. Hope to see you in winter. And my husband is not Baha'i, but he is very near to the faith. I live in a country that, so surprisingly, is quite secular.
Mm-hmm.
The country, Great Britain's history, well, that's a token of itself, but religion is a bad word, even though the country of England is considered to be Church of England. Mm-hmm. The numbers are diminishing, and it's a very secular, and the area I live in, gosh, we have Wiccan. I mean, it's paganism is at crystals. It's all quite antithetical to anything I was raised in. I come from a Jewish background, Ukrainian, Latvian, Russian, Jewish, and but I was born into the Baha'i faith. My parents converted to the Baha'i faith before I was born. But I was really talking about the culture of people who are married to people who do not wish, where there has to be some common ground, mm-hmm. or you have to go along to get along if they don't wish to raise their children in the Baha'i faith. All mm-hmm. you really can do is influence by your behavior.
Right. Right.
I'm guessing.
Yeah.
Do what you can within what you can do.
Right. Yeah, and by example, as you said.
I have another viewpoint.
Please.
So, teachers are talked about so highly in the Kitab-i-Aqdas that they are part of the inheritance.
Yes.
So I think we're looking at those quotes on matrimony and children very narrowly, where if you read the Aqdas about the teachers, the spiritual educators of the children, they're given such reverence, such such a lofty status and station that I can easily expand those quotes that we read to include, teachers of spiritual education. And like you said, there's so many ways that we can nurture and educate children that don't belong to us. So I think a narrow interpretation is we could be expanded much more. Just my opinion, though.
Well, I would like to support you fully because it is too narrow. And there's a quote from Abdul Baha, everything is relative. And there's no explanation of coral and pearls where, of course, it has to do with children, but we're children. We were all children. So even if you are not married or in a marriage without children, there's children all around you. Our words can be corals, bring forth, and the teachers is a very excellent example of that, the community. So we're all in the community of children, and we're bringing forth coral and pearls too. And it's in the Baha'i writings, you don't have to be married.
Okay, dear ones, is it okay if I will go to the next one, if you don't mind? We are good with the family.
Sure.
Is it okay to go to the next one?
Yes.
Okay, so talking about what John is talking about, what Lisa and Serene brought it up, it's again, it's an ecosystem. This is just, we are getting some quotations with focus on the Aqdas, but in the big picture, it is really, really important to step back and look at the faith. I always use the terminology of you're driving a car and looking in the rear view mirror. You see many, many things coming together, and this is what we are doing. You know, so the goal actually, as I understand it, it's not necessarily to have kids yourself, and if you don't have it, you are breaking the law, as much as the concept of nurturing and love and kindness and passing the principles of the faith to the children. You know, even if they chose, even if your child chose not to be part of the faith when they are 15 or 16 or 20, and they decide to have a parallel life to the faith, this is their choice, this is their spiritual journey. But the seed that you put in their heart, seed of love and kindness, it will not change. Chances will always be there. So the advancement of civilization, Baha'u'llah said the word equilibrium have been upset. It's no longer the same. I'll give you a prime example that all of us we are working with, that we are a religion, we are a faith, which we are saying we no longer need clergy to interpret the writings for us. If you implement this in a company, you know how many people are going to get fired? If you will say no more clergy, you know, in previous religion, thousands of people will get fired, so to speak, you know. So we are upsetting everything because Baha'u'llah is saying the ruler have to do this. The elected has to be this. The learned has to do this. The institutions of the faith are coming to change the word equilibrium, the system that we have, because we have been doing it for 5,000 years, 500,000 years. It worked to a certain level. I'm not going to say it didn't work. It worked to a certain level. Now we need to go to a higher level. The focus now was in the spiritual movement of the heart. Baha'u'llah said in the second paragraph, all men have been created to carry forward an ever advancing civilization. The civilization cannot stand still. It can, especially for the past 50 years with the technology. Now the technology is pushing everybody to move forward and make things faster, maybe more efficient, maybe cheaper. The capacity of the people, Baha'u'llah said that today, and the Guardian talked a lot about this, that the capacity expanded. Baha'u'llah unraveled the capacity of the human beings. Each individual of us has amazing capacity, and the writings speak of this in everywhere. Baha'u'llah told us, O peoples of the earth, cast away that which you possess, and on the wings of detachment soar beyond all created things. Thus bideth you the Lord of creation, the movement of whose pen had revolutionized the soul of mankind. So, regarding this last paragraph in particular, I just want to clarify a little bit. Since I served as trustee for Huquq for 11 years for the United States and the Middle East, I just want you to clarify that nobody's saying if you have a home, throw the home away. If you have some little jewelry, throw it away. If you have a TV, put it off and put it at the front yard and get rid of it. If you have, I don't know, 2 meals in the fridge, get rid of 1 meal. It is not as this at all. The point here is detachment. So you can have your money, you can have your home, you can have this, you can have that. However, you should not be attached to it. If God forbid, and you get lost for whatever reason, you have to file bankruptcy because of the economy, don't be sad. This is the point. Don't be attached to the earthly belongings. Baha'u'llah is not saying do not work and do not have a salary. You work hard, you get salary, you promote, you get a raise, you take your money, you do your living, you do your kids, you do your home, you do Huquq Allah, observe Huquq Allah, you pay for the fund. the point is not to be attached. Would this make sense? Okay.
Yes.
Thank you. Regarding our community, Baha'u'llah said that the Aqdas, this is yours, Azad. Maybe not out of justice, maybe out of mercy, you should do this one. mercy on me.
Would someone read these two quotations and we start the discussion?
The earth, Baha'u'llah says, is but one country and mankind its citizens. The Lord hath ordained that in every city a house of justice be established. Behooveth them, its members, to be the trusted ones of the merciful among men, and to regard themselves as the guardians appointed of God for all that dwell on earth.
Thank you, Barbara. So how do we want to start the discussion about the Baha'i community within how Baha'u'llah has described it? And right now what we have are the local houses of justice, wherever there are local assemblies. And we all on this get together this morning live in different communities and have our own experiences. But would you want to start discussing how you view the members of your community and the local assemblies and the relationship?
I'd like to comment on this. In my experience here, coming from such a large and active community in the Clearwater Pinellas community in Florida, that we had, it's a struggle here because there's so many people that don't believe in God. I, in my neighborhood, are considered a Bible thumper just by the mere mentioning of the word God. One of the challenges, one of the great challenges that has come upon us is that now we had two assemblies, and because they redistribution of the property lines as to who is where for the purpose of creating more smaller groups to create growth has been a giant fallback for us, because we've lost the momentum of a larger size group. You know, there's a lot to be said for, listen, I'm not arguing with anybody. I'm certainly not arguing with Baha'u'llah, or the Universal House of Justice or the teaching committees, but it's still such a struggle because now so many of us are a group of two or become individual believers when we had a larger community with more momentum. And the idea is feeling further away of establishing a house of justice in each community.
Yes. Well, you know, it's, I don't know if it's part of the growth, both as individuals, wherever we live in community, the changes that comes about, but also there are things that, like the local houses of justice, are not within our lifespan. I wouldn't think so. Here, the Kitab-i-Aqdas is, I believe, addressing the Baha'i community and its relationship within itself, also outside of itself to the Baha'is, to the community at large. And what we see in our communities, each one of us, I would think is part of the growth that we're going through right now as a community. Any other comments that you want to share with us?
John raised his hand and they want to mention something.
Oh, yes, I see your hand. Thank you, John.
Well, I just really agree with the last comment that I think the Baha'i community has to I think it's taking the neighborhood to an extreme in some cases, and I would at a later date with this has come up in my area, and I think I think this topic needs to be discussed by Baha'is. I think neighborhoods has become misunderstood, and we're pulling away from the larger group sometimes. And the other thing is, I was a secular humanist before becoming Baha'i, so I think this is a balance, all the people withdrawing from religion, and I think it's really a good thing because religion can be making the same mistake as the non-religion of rejecting new ideas. So it's just, to me, it's the Baha'i faith and everything else. It's all the same. So when you're talking about what is religion and you're not a Baha'i, you don't know what it's everyone's got their own idea. So
Right.
it's a good thing that there are people dropping out of religion, because there's a good reason to drop out of those religions.
So dear ones, Azad, if you don't mind, I want to share with you that what's left exactly is 4 minutes or 3 minutes. I just want to make a comment, and I will tell you about what's coming next. But I want to tell you about the Lord had ordained that in every city a house of justice be established. The way that we approach the writings, we need to push our understanding, the progressive understanding again. We need to push our understanding. Because of this statement by His Holiness, Baha'u'lláh, it raised thousands of pioneers all over the world. Here, what's embedded is the term go pioneering. Go pioneering. So every time you have 9 members or whatever the correct number in your area, you need to go pioneering. This is really the hidden treasure in this statement. Are you following my logic?
How did you come to glean that from this writing?
The Lord had ordained that every city had a house of justice be established. This is 9. The one next to you, if it has 8, somebody needs to go pioneering.
I completely agree.
Something to think about, Lisa. General information, if you don't mind, I will just ask Azad to go through this quickly, and then I will tell you what's happening next time. Azad, can you run us through this, please?
I will do this. This is a really very, as Nabil said, a real general breakdown of the sacred writings. Yeah, prayers, as we all know, is where we talk to God, mostly asking for His mercy and guidance through our life. And then there are tablets, which is revealed by Baha'u'lláh as answers to humanity and God talking to us. Surah, which is chapter, and you've heard it, like the Quran is broken into surahs and verses in other holy books, and translated in English into tablet, or using the verb, the same noun as surah. It's a revelation that is addressing issues that have not been a question. They're not in response to a question. Like Kitab-i-Aqdas, the book of certitude, is his answer to some questions. But then you have like Surah Qos, the tablet of the branch, which is Baha'u'lláh revealed it as surah. The other one is Kitab, which means book, which are major writings that have the weight of a book. Again, like Kitab-i-Aqdas is a book. It's the book of certitude, or the epistle to the son of the wolf, which is a statement that Baha'u'lláh made to the son of the wolf in terms of how he had treated the Baha'is and his reaction to the revelation of Baha'u'lláh. So these are the 5 main styles that we have identified.
This is not styles. The styles will come later.
Right.
This is just the definition.
Yes, yes,
So,
definitely.
dear
Thank you.
ones, it is time, but I just want to tell you that we are going to next time to talk about the styles of the writings. We are going to talk about the laws from the Bayan to the Aqdas, as was pointed earlier. And then we are going to start going through the Aqdas itself. I just like to share with you that starting next time, you need to come up with questions. The Aqdas is 190 paragraphs. John, I will be with you right away. 190 paragraphs. We are not going to cover all of them. So you need to put the questions, and we start stepping through the questions and we answer them. So we will ask you to be even more active than this time, and we will give you a few things that all of us, we need to reflect upon, part of our progressive understanding, you know. Yes, John. John, your hands is up.
John, you're muted.
Sorry, my hand should, let me take it down. I forgot how to take it down.
Okay, thank you very much. So please bring your questions, and I will turn it over to the moderator, John, Mr. Pales.
One last thing.
Yes, Lisa.
Please. Since there's 190 and it's all very heavy and deep, is within the context of the next section, are there any particular parts of the book that you might suggest we peruse?
I suggest to go through it systematically. Let us read maybe first 50, but we have 2 more sessions. So you maybe want to read the next 50 to 100 paragraphs and highlight the ones that you want us to talk about.
Thank you.
Sorry, Lisa, but we were allowed only 3. I didn't know if John can give us more in, I don't know what's available sessions. We can do this, but I just, other than
we'll be happy to.
Okay, so you will tell us.
We'll be happy to.
Okay, tell us next time what's available and we'll work on it.
Fair enough. We appreciate it. Thank you so much for spending the time to go over all of this and to really interact with the audience in this way. This is how we can all learn together, right? By talking with one another, sharing these extremely important moments. We appreciate it so much. So this is part 1, we'd call it, right? Part 1 of potentially 4. But at least it's planned for 3 at the moment. And and Jeremiah, we can work with you. Jeremiah and I can work with you to put maybe the date right after the 3rd. Otherwise, we could have another date that we can plan afterwards. So no problem, we'll get to it. We want to thank everyone who's come here to attend the session, especially all of you who have spoken up and provided your input, your questions, your comments, your heartfelt thoughts. We really, really all benefit so much when we're able to share these things and attain a better understanding together as a group. So we thank you all the participants who have come here to make this a very valuable, worthwhile session. Thank you. With that being said, we welcome all of you to share this. We're gonna, again, have it next week. We welcome all of you to share this clearwaterbaha'is.org link with your friends so they can also register. And if you go on YouTube and search Clearwater Baha'is, you can find this video that is streaming now live. You can find the recording of it. And also on Facebook, the Baha'i Center for Clearwater that has a page, and we also post it there. So in short, we have the videos recorded for you to go back and rewatch to study again. We also have the registration link online for you to go and register for the next session this following week. And Nabil and Azadeh, thank you so much for sharing all this with us. Like we need to reflect on the Aqdas so much more, and this is at least one place we can do it, and we appreciate it.
Truly an honor to be able to do it.
So with that being said, we wish you all a happy afternoon on this beautiful Sunday. We look forward to seeing you next Sunday.